The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Triversity Talk. I am Stephen Bloomer T.
And I am Wendy Stewart Kaplan. And baby, it is cold out there tonight. So we're happy because we're all warm in here and we've got a great show for you.
Absolutely. And you know, it's cold, so I've got to go full lumbersexual to keep myself warm and toasty.
I said to myself when I saw you, you're a lumbersexual tonight.
Yes, you know, I am a jack of all trades, and tonight I am lumbersexual in all my glory. This is one of my favorite shirts. I actually got it at the Phoenix.
Oh, you did? Oh, great. We love the Phoenix. You
Absolutely.
got up there, and you're looking good tonight, Stephen. I'm very excited about tonight's show. You know, I love featuring really incredible local people.
Absolutely.
But before we introduce our guests, do you have a couple of announcements?
Well, I always have some announcements. And the one is to give us love, please. If you're on Facebook or YouTube and you haven't liked Triversity or subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and do that and give this video a like or a love or a thumbs up. Smash whatever button you think we most deserve as long as it's good. And one more thing. On February 20th, we are having our Share Your Heart Triversity's Got Talent virtual edition. This is our third talent competition. We hope you will join us. Tickets can be ordered starting on February 1, so we'll really be pushing this hard in the next few weeks.
This week. Yeah, it's coming up. Cool.
Absolutely. So get excited. We've got some great contestants lined up, and we're looking forward to it. And we hope you'll enjoy it too. And me, Wendy, and Bell Pepper will be back at the hosting station.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have such a good time. Stephen, we have to figure out what our duet's going to be. I'm just saying.
I know. I was thinking, and how we're going to do it.
And how we're going to do it. I thought about that too, because it's hard to synchronize. But speaking of synchronization, we have two amazing guys here tonight. A lot of you just know them as Roswell and Johnny, but I'm giving their full names. I'd like to introduce Johnny Pizzolato. That's the right pronunciation. And Roswell Hamrick from the Stickett Inn. Welcome.
Hey.
And Lamont, I forgot to, oh my God, they're going to give me the hook. That is Lamont. Could you hold Lamont up a little bit more? So cute. Hi, Lamont.
Kim Kardashian.
Lamont is he's 16, you said, right?
Yes, sweet 16, yes.
Oh, Lamont, thank you for being with us. He's a Brussels Griffin. We love that breed. They all have underbites.
Yes.
So welcome. We have so many questions.
Happy to be here. Hi, Stephen.
Hello.
And you've got a lot to share with us tonight. But, you know, let's start with like, how the hell did you end up in Barryville?
Oh, oof.
It's all his fault.
I came up here. I've owned we live in the church on the hill next to the Stickett Inn. And I bought it over 20 years ago.
Whoa.
To do a meditation retreat in the area. Picked up a real estate guide and it said, you can ring your own bell, church for sale. And I was like, I'm there. So I went and looked at it. I was like, yeah, I'm buying it. It was the price of a used car. So I was like, oh, this will be cheaper than my storage in the city. Why the hell not? So that's
exactly
how I started up here. And then we bought, and the Stickett Inn was an adjacent property we bought basically 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago.
10 years. But you both, had functional careers in the city. So it's a bit of a leap of faith, isn't it? It's one thing to have a weekend church that you love being in, and Barryville's a fabulous place. But then to decide to create an inn, I mean, whose crazy idea was that?
Well, Roswell was working in Atlanta at the time. And so he called me up and said, hey, I don't know what you have planned for this weekend, but you have to get upstate because on Monday morning, it's going to be auctioned off, like the property in front of our house. So I went to the bank auction and I got it. I was the only person there. And,
I love that.
So I won. And then we sort of like dreamed about what we were going to do. My parents were visiting soon after we got it. And we started playing with the idea of opening an inn. And we actually passed the Tuckham Inn over in the Poconos.
Okay.
And my mom, being the random, eclectic, wonderful woman she is, blurted out, what about Stickett Inn? And we were sold. Yeah. A 72-year-old Catholic woman in the Midwest is like, stick it in.
And it's absolutely brilliant name. So I want to ask, because I mean, Barryville is, I think of it as very gay friendly, but you're also in rural New York. I mean, what is it like being a business owner in rural New York? I mean, is it like a liberal beacon, or do you get that conservative cross section? What's it like?
I personally adore the people of Barryville. I think that it's rough and tumble and it's rural, but it's so open-minded and everybody's just out for a good time. Everybody's a fucking hedonist. It's kind of the best place to be. And when we're open, like full throttle, when it's non-COVID times, we kind of assume the position of being like a dude bar. So we'll have like hunters on one side, gays on the other, but it's very like this funny machismo energy. And then when a lady comes in, everybody's like, turn their head. It's like a cowboy western every night of the week.
Perfect for lumbersexuals. Like,
And they don't seem, when even 20 years ago, when I first bought the church, I went to the local little general store in Barryville, and I go in and this strange man walks up to me and says, you bought the church, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, I heard you were gay. And I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
And he leaned in, he goes, I'm gay too.
That's such a great story.
Yeah.
That's a great story. I mean, on many levels, okay? Because you know what, you went for it, and what you said, you can mix hunters with gay people, with that's what it's all about at the end of the day, really. So both of you are on the Greater Barryville Chamber of Commerce. You founded it, right?
Yeah. I was in the group that founded it. I think in 2001, I believe it. Yeah.
Wow.
2001. And we really wanted to promote just the Barryville and the Barryville area. So it was that's a group of people that had moved up from the city that all had businesses up here, and we decided to start the chamber, and it's been really successful, and we've really worked on promoting the area.
Well, I think it also helps that you're involved on that level, right? Because you have much greater reach that way.
Yeah, and there was also, when we first started the inn, we were super fortunate to have Cooper Boone and Mark Vieger across the street. They used to own the River Market. So it was a fun cool posse that was sort of in town at the time. And now, it's kind of been a gay magnet. I feel like there's more homos in Barryville than anywhere else in the area. So much that we have the nickname Fairyville down here.
Cheers.
I think I would have to agree with you. Every time I've been to Barryville, I'm always hanging out with homos. So there you go. I would say that's true. So how do you both have intense careers? Can you talk a little about those? Because it's interesting that you're able to juggle all of this. Who wants to go first?
Well, I guess, I'm still, working as a producer and publicist in the city. COVID has slowed a lot of that down, but it's been great working from up here, but it has also given us a lot of time to focus on how to make our business great up here. So we pivoted during COVID to be sort of a takeout bar, and we started, having like front yard tea party sort of sessions outside with mascots.
I heard about some of those. I heard they were wild.
Oh my God. It was a bunch of boys sitting around in a circle. Who knows what's next?
Lord.
Oh my God.
With masks on it. It wasn't the black party.
What happens in the circle stays in the circle.
Right?
You're always welcome. But no, it's been great. It's been good. We still go down to the city about once every week or once every couple of weeks just to make sure everything's still there. I check on my office, have a couple of meetings, take care of some grooming and maintenance, and then head back up to the woods.
I like that, the grooming and maintenance. You come out. So you have come out with a great product, and I think it's really interesting the way you're marketing it. Here we go. Let's hold it up for the camera, please.
I've got to open one.
Okay.
Yes, I need to hear it.
Here we go. Let's hear that pop.
Whoa.
My
Did you see the splash?
Like that was totally amazing. I just got chills hearing that. And
then you have a problem.
So
no, we've been having a blast. We just started the Instagram page for Stickett Inn Cider, and we reached out to just a bunch of lovely people that are in our world that we really want to celebrate. We want to make a space for LGBTQI, everybody to have the best time they can and be part of our world and show this world to everybody else. So many times liquor company is targeted towards like a straight white world, and that has nothing to do with us. So we're really trying to celebrate everybody that's in our orbit with our Instagram, and it's been so fun. Like we've been sending it around to
here it is.
Yeah, we've been sending it around to like local babes. We've been sending it around to our friends in the city, musicians. We're gonna reach out to some culinary people next, but yeah, we've been super pumped to just get it out to people.
And
that's great.
And that's really cool, because when I think of things like cider and beer, you're like, oh, but to see like, to make it, gay men can enjoy their cider and beer as well as anyone else. It's fabulous.
God damn it, they can, right? So part of your marketing now, when we had spoken a little before this, you're going to have a place in the city to do tastings?
Yeah, we're opening a New York City tasting room in the East Village. It should be open probably around March, April. Depends on what's going on in the city. But it's on First Avenue at 10th Street, and we're super pumped about it. It's just going to be called Stickett Inn Cider. It'll be like a little sort of a hidden gem, like a sort of foray into Upstate in the East Village. So we're excited. And I think the East Village is kind of a perfect spot for it.
Oh my God, I'm there all the time. I think you couldn't have found a better spot. And, I'll definitely be there. I can tell you. And damn, if they still have the restrictions, you buy a heat lamp. I'll sit outside your tasting room drinking that beer. There you go.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, you just have to shout "Stick it in cider" when you're out front.
I promise I'll do that. Come on, stick it in.
You should be the Stick It In Cider girl.
Yes, I'm seeing your future, Wendy. We need it.
God, and it's dirty, isn't it? It's a dirty future. But let's get clean for a minute here. So Stephen and I'd love to find out like where people are from. Now, Stephen, you connect with Roswell because you're both from the South.
Yeah, it's both from South Carolina, in fact.
Yes.
And so what was your growing up like in South Carolina and for being gay? I mean, what was it like?
I mean, honestly, I didn't I guess I knew I was gay, but I didn't know. It wasn't within the parameters of like even where my mind would go. So basically fooled around with my best friends and dated like the cheerleader.
That is so great. I love that.
So yeah, I didn't have an idea that, it was even an option to be gay until I went to college. So it was like, okay, yes. So yes, but got in all kinds of trouble. I got thrown out of the Boy Scouts for.
Oh, you did? Tell me what you got thrown out for.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I don't know what are
sitting around in a circle with boys.
Yeah, and
it's
doing
in that circle. May I add?
Circle jerk.
Well, it's always great people that get thrown out of the Boy Scouts. My husband was thrown out for throwing an axe. Ooh. And if any of you know Alan, like look at Stephen's face. He's like, you're not surprised at all.
I can't see him doing anything that athletic.
Ding, 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 10 points for you on that one. But so you survived, you got into college, and then you could be who you were, right? So
and I knew I wanted to get out. Like as soon as I was in college, I was like, okay, I'm gonna, luckily I got a job right at, basically right out of graduate school where I was able to move to New York. So it was good.
Oh my gosh, that's great. And you were doing film production, right?
Yeah, I did production design for film and TV for 20 years. And that's how I came to New York and basically did that for almost 20 years. And then took off 9 months to basically be the construction, basically doing everything, getting the inn together, and thought I would go back to film. And now it's full-time in Cider.
Right, isn't it amazing the path you end up on? Because when you guys first opened and I saw how beautifully the rooms were done, Roswell, I didn't have any idea what your background was at all. And it was like, oh my God, they took a plunge. They bought this place, and things upstate weren't exactly financially popping at the time, so you are taking a risk. But you did it, and then you created this beautiful inn. Each room is really different. Very impressive, with what you've done.
Oh, thank you.
And it really shows people, right? You were on one track, and then you like put caution to the wind, threw it out to the universe, and look where you are now.
Yeah, I always think that's the best way to even like approach life. It's just like, just go wherever the universe takes you. Just go.
Right.
Just open and just go.
Okay, Roswell, what has Johnny got next to you? He held something up. What was that?
That was a growler.
Oh, cool.
We make a rosé cider also.
Oh, I like that. I love rosé. You see, now if I hadn't have seen that, I wouldn't have known that. So that's great. I'm coming. I'm gonna have that as well. So, Johnny, you're from Illinois.
Yep.
Pretty, not pretty rural where you came from, I would imagine, right?
No, it's very, I don't know. I grew up very John Hughes. It very much looked like Breakfast Club when I was a kid.
I love that film.
Suburbs of Chicago. Super wonderful parents. When I was about 12 years old, my mom was cutting out articles in Parents Magazine about bisexuality. So she was like, we know.
So great.
I was super into theater. I was, I loved like punk music. I was just all over the map, and they just were excited about it. They kind of went on every road with me. So I feel super fortunate with how
you both of you really are super fortunate. I think, those kinds of things when you're growing up, that kind of support lets you create incredible things as an adult. Now, you were in a punk band that toured. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was in it was like half straight boys, half gay boys. And when we first started, there was 3 Johns in the band. So we just by default were the Johns, plus a Javier and a Derek. And yeah, we had a blast. We toured all over the place. We played a lot of shows in New York. We played on the West Coast a lot. We played up and down the East Coast, and had a blast. And Roswell always would come and join us on tour and be like our perfect cheerleader and piss off the rest of the band. He'd always get us a fancy hotel room while the band all stayed together.
Okay, Beyonce.
More than
really.
Bye. We're gonna go stay at the Roosevelt. You guys have a nice time on Santa Monica Boulevard and whatever shady joint y'all booked. That was fun.
So funny. Now, when you were touring, I'm assuming, when you were playing with your band, there were other bands you were booked with. Are there any that you want to share some dish with us here tonight?
Well, okay, so there's a couple. Like, we played with the Drums a lot. We played with my one of my best friend's band, Tall Black Girls. They were probably our favorite double bill. People would get really excited. But we played with Semi-Precious Weapons, and that was really funny. So it was a New Year's show in like 2007 to 2008, maybe, and we had a really like stealth manager. She was genius. Her name is Natalie Noyes. She works at HBO now, but she got us top billing against these two really fabulous bands that were, getting a lot of airplay at the time. It was Titus Andronicus and Semi-Precious Weapons. Well, the Semi-Precious Weapons boys were best friends with Lady Gaga. So she was the DJ on the night of our show. And the drummer of my band, who was my best friend of the band, John Ream, ended up, doing some dirty stuff with her in the DJ booth on New Year's Eve.
Dirty stuff in the DJ booth. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
And then flash forward like 10 years later, and I'm going to work at Bethel Woods, and they needed letters of recommendation, and they wanted just materials about who you were as a professional. So I sent them a bunch of band flyers, and I asked John Ream, the drummer of my band, to be a reference for me. And as he was going through everything, he said, "Oh my God." And I said, "What?" And he's like, "I think I did it with Lady Gaga New Year's. I think that was her, and I think that was me." And it was really
that's incredible. I wasn't even expecting a Lady Gaga story. Whoa!
And look at her now. She's inaugurated.
Listen, right? Who knew back then? So you did a stint at Logo too, yeah?
I'm sorry.
You worked at Logo.
No, we
Queer Eye.
We did a lot of spots on Logo. There was not too many gay bands at the time, so it was us and Tegan and Sarah and Semi-Precious Weapons, and we did some Sunday spots. But yeah, we were their video of the week for a while, and we just loved what they did when they first came out, and then Drag Race took over, and look at them now.
No, really. But that's so cool that you were, the video of the week and everything. I just have to say this once: Semi-Precious Puffins. I love it.
Semi-Precious Weapons. They were a great band, and now the lead singer's gone on to, I think he writes music for other people now, so it's good.
Wow, really cool.
Yeah.
So you're really jazzed about what you're doing now, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, we love it. It's totally nerve-wracking to work with your husband, your spouse, whatever. It's a nightmare. Every day you wake up to a board meeting in bed, you're like, "Look at you, what are you doing over there? Get to work."
Those board meetings in bed.
Yeah. But we're also super lucky. Like, we can stay home and make magic, and affect things, and fuck till it works out, and
You're here on Triversity Talk. You just let it all hang out right here. I'll drink to that.
Well, tell me, how did y'all meet? Where did this love story begin?
You do it.
We met through a mutual friend that neither one of us are really super close with now. And this guy in Chelsea who lived in this big fancy brownstone in our neighborhood had us both over. We locked eyes. We started making out at this event, and then I kind of got freaked out and left and ran away, just because it was like worlds colliding. It was super magical. Like, we locked eyes and that was it.
Wow.
But I kind of flipped out and just ran out, and then we both sort of wrote to the mutual friend and said, "Hey, can I have that guy's number?" And he was like, "Well, you got to hang out with me again if you want to be connected with Roswell." And we said the same thing to him: "If you want to hang out with Johnny, you got to come by." So we're like, yeah, you're boring, snooze. And finally he got us together. And Roswell could only meet after 10 p.m. Every time we would get together. And I don't know. I was like,
that was when I was working on Queer. I was the ghost designer on Queer Eye.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I want to hear about that. But yeah, so you were working till 10 o'clock at night, really?
And you know, I was doing theater and had just started the band at the time, and I was like, who is this weird 35-year-old waiter I'm dating? I was like, what is happening with this person? And I had no idea, you know, and I didn't care because I was really super into him. And so we hung out a couple times. We went to Puerto Rico on our third date.
I took him to Puerto Rico for his birth. It was his birthday, and I'm like, let's go to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And I come with a little duffel bag, you know, for overnight, you know, 2-night trip. Johnny comes with the steamer trunk.
Way to go, right?
Where do you think we're going?
Puerto Rico.
I had to have all the island looks. But no, and then, you know, on our fourth date, he was like, oh, we're going to my little place upstate.
Oh yeah, I didn't tell
And
him.
our friend Laquita picked us up, and she had an old Buick, like a 72 Buick, and she picked us up on a rainy, stormy night and, you know, passed us a joint. The three of us sat in the front seat.
Nice.
That's like rode up on Hawk's Nest, and they dropped us at the end of the driveway in Barryville, and we walk up to this church, and I was like, I guess this is it. I mean, like this is life, you know, this is what we're gonna do. And
Yeah.
I didn't tell him I lived in a church. I didn't tell him anything.
That is really cool. So you had no idea. Wow.
No, and as a former altar boy, I mean, the moments that I daydreamed that I would live in a church someday, because, you know, wasn't obviously paying attention to the celebration of Eucharist. I was like, what would I do if this was my house? Well, I would go over there, my dressing room would be over there. It's all working out.
That's so incredible. The church that you live in, I always ask people this when they live in a really old place, and churches are very special. Is it haunted?
Oh yes.
Well, yeah, talk about that. I want to hear about that.
The first night when you came here.
Well, so the first night that I came here, you know, we were full disclosure, we were super stoned, and we walked in. And we're like making out, you know, it's those like super exciting moments when you first get together and just can't keep your hands off each other. We're making out. And I look up, and Roswell's got a portrait of his grandmother and his grandfather sort of overlooking, you know, the main.
It came up from South Carolina.
Yeah, you know, that are looking over the front windows to the church. And I was like, I wonder if your grandma would like me, like an idiot, you know. And right then, like all the lights in the room started racing around. I mean, it was like so clockwork, and it was like so pointed, and it was undeniable that there was like something happening. And I, of course, was like, I'll take that as a yes, man. That was that. And it never felt like bad. It always just felt like good. And even when things happen now, you know, there's a World War, there's a Civil War graveyard in our backyard. There's like there's unknown soldiers like Revolutionary War tomb in the backyard. There's like a New York placard. So there's a lot of history here, and we've had psychics and soothsayers come in, and they're like, oh yeah, your place is totally, you guys are screwed. Like it's totally haunted. But
I could kind of feel it when I was asking you that. And I also asked you that because I know Daniel Simmons is watching and he doesn't believe in any of this.
Oh, yeah.
So have you ever seen anybody in the graveyard?
Just Daniel Simmons is haunting the graveyard. He's responsible for the ball drop, if you know what I'm saying, every New Year.
Oh my gosh.
So
yes, you go.
It's a little bit of a question, and I don't know the exact context, so I'm just going to say this is from Laquita Matthews, and she said, I greeted Johnny here. Tell that story, please.
Oh, I think that was what.
No,
That was
that's
when we just did,
that's
yeah.
the one we just told. Like she came to pick me up in her Buick.
Okay.
She rolled the
joint.
biggest spliff in the planet and picked me up from the New Jersey Transit in Port Jervis. And I was like, where are we? We get on Hawk's Nest. We get ripstoned.
We got that crazy Hawk's Nest and
it's
this
like-
big giant.
Right, Hawk's Nest stoned. I can't even imagine.
It's like a stormy night, and we're like,
I know.
whipping ourselves around Hawk's Nest. Laquita's just like one eye on it. I mean, she's like straight out of a Tarantino movie. When I met her, I was like, who is this bitch? I love her immediately.
And the church is sitting on top of the hill. It's quite a hike to come up the driveway. So she drops us off at the bottom of the driveway. It's like, have fun, boys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Uma Thurman. It was like, that was it, It was good.
Well, you know what? You're very happy there. And obviously the spirits that are there are happy to have you there too. So you know what? It's all good. Now, this past 4 years, I'm not going to get political, but I'm not getting political. But this past 4 years was a little dicey in places like Milford and in upstate New York. Did you experience any negativity because of the way things were during that time?
No. I can say confidently that we've never felt any sense of intimidation. There was, I feel like, there was one incident when Roswell was in front of the inn, and it was definitely people not from here. It was like a weird New Jersey truck or something. And they came flying through town with like weird Trump flags on their car.
Oh yeah.
And this crazy, like redneck, literally like said to Roswell, what did he say? He said,
Oh, something about me sashaying up the stairs. Sashay up the stairs, and I was like, yeah. Here I go.
What in redneck?
I was like, who says sashay?
Yeah, like what in Trump like redneck hell has that at the tip of their tongue?
No,
they
up the stairs, faggot, and I'm like, oh, okay.
But literally, like that is literally the only. Okay, and then one other time, like the guys thought we planned it, but we had the guys from Gay Letter up here when we first opened the Stickett Inn in 2011 or something.
Okay. And tell us what that is.
Gay Letter is like this. It turned into a real magazine, but it was like an e-newsletter of just like super cool queer stuff. It was like a newsletter and like an online like publication. These super cool boys run it, and we love them, and we invited them up. Like my fashion world had kind of interacted with them, and so I was like, come stay at the inn we just opened up. And we took them to Romans, which is this like amazing historic bar in Pennsylvania. It's like right over the bridge.
Oh, I've been to Romans. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like
really haunted. Romans is really severely haunted.
Yeah. It's like super charged up and really crazy. And it's beautiful. It's like beautiful in all of its like grit of history.
Yep.
And we brought them there to show them around. And there's like this super hot, trashy white boy sitting at the end of the bar. And he like said the dumbest thing, which I will never forget. He was like, which one of you faggots wants to fuck me? Literally. And we were like, they were like, this isn't real. This is not real. You guys put this plant here. This is not happening. And he was like, just total trash, like, but super hot at the same time. And
I love that. You're hilarious. Because we
were like, I do. Not one of us was scared. And he had some beast of a woman with him. And she like swatted at Roswell with this broke ass, like Michael Kors purse. And I grabbed her arm and I was like, honey, you are not going to knock my husband's hat off his head with a Michael Kors purse. Back it up.
And it wasn't even a real Michael Kors. She tried to imitation Michael Kors.
I was like, I've seen that in TJ Maxx when I'm shopping for my olive oil. But whatever. So
when you cross the river and go to Shahola, I'll bet, sir.
Yeah, it's fine. And we always say if there was a wall to be built, it might be between Barryville and Shahola, but that's another story. But it's fine. And we never felt intimidated. And the bartender at the time like bounced them and was like, I don't think so. Like, you don't know these people. They're way better than you'll ever be. Like this woman, Joey Lynn, I don't know if anybody knows her. She's a local celebrity bartender, but she's a dream, and she bounced them immediately. So, I mean, we can count the number of like intimidating experiences on two fingers. So peace to them, and also fuck off.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you get to go up to the bowling alley in Romans?
A million times,
yes.
yeah. It's like our favorite thing to do with our families when they come.
Stephen, have you ever been to the bowling alley?
I have not. No.
But here's another one. I see Daniel Simmons rolling his eyes, even though I can't see him. You know, people have heard balls being rolled down those lanes up there, even when there's absolutely no one up there. Yeah, that is really woo-woo up there.
Steven, you and Wendy have to come to town, and we'll go bowling.
I am so down.
Yeah, but no, we'll totally do it. And you will totally go to the Stickett Inn. You know, my deal, like in the winter, and Steven knows this about me, I really am a city girl. And, you know, when it starts getting dark and icy at night, I just can't. I live in Milford and I'm up the hill. So all I have to really do is just roll down and drive back up literally 1 minute from town. To get to Barryville, I usually go by Twin Lakes.
Yeah.
And it's quicker, but it's also very, you know, twisty turny.
Yeah, we need a car service. If there's any homos out there.
Oh, if anyone has a limo out there that they could send to pick me up.
we would have such a different life as a group if we all had if there was like, you know, gay Uber in the sticks, we would be in heaven. I mean, it would be wonderful.
Yes, indeed.
Our lives be totally different. So now I'm going to get to the nitty gritty, the pandemic, right? You're a fashion publicist, and you know I'm in fashion as well, amongst other things. I did a shoot today for Bloomingdale's.
Yeah.
Right, but here's the big wow. I got there and I said, so no one had given me any direction. Every shoot I've done, they tell you, you know, you wear your mask to the set, and then you get there and the makeup person has the mask, 2 masks, and the visor. You don't have anything. They touch up your makeup and boom, 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 they shoot. Today was really interesting. It was a virtual fashion show, and they had a runway, and we were modeling these beautiful clothes on the runway for, you know, a video guy, a photographer, lighting people, and we had our masks on the whole time. And this is what I know. It's, you know what? This is such a bizarre time. Don't even get me going.
You're ready to wear a mask all the time, Wendy. What the fuck?
No, I mean, I'm glad they were safe and everything, but I came home and Alan said to me, how was it? I'm like, it was really weird. I could have, like, why do I bother putting lipstick or anything on anymore? Because you can only see this part of your face. You know what? We should all get eyelash extensions, colored contact lenses, and call it a day.
Yeah. I love that.
Right. Don't you love that idea? But you know, how have you been dealing with it? To being a fashion publicist and keeping clients from freaking out? And
I think it depends, like, what's happening, like what the people are making, you know. One of my longtime clients who I adore makes fashion swimsuits, you know, and I think that was a tougher game, you know, because people are looking for loungewear. They're looking for things that are sort of like part of this new dystopian world of like being at your house and appealing to people at Zoom. So maybe that was like hard hit, and it didn't feel great, you know, at first. But then I started to see like the things that were working, you know, and the way that people were communicating. And it was like, you know, I've seen a lot of like opulence on like Zoom calls now. Like people are dressing up again. They're like getting excited again. And, you know, like I work with a lot of swimwear.
Yeah.
And that's super exciting because everybody goes in water. Like it's the most freeing, beautiful thing to distract from all the noise of what's going on the planet. And, you know, people still need swimwear. They need to feel good. Like, you know, Roswell says to me all the time, I'm solely keeping the fashion world alive. He's keeping the Instagram fashion world alive. Like he orders every dumb onesie.
I'm in a onesie now.
Yeah, like he can't stop with like the
it.
dumb Instagram.
Are you really? Oh, I love onesies.
All the boys love onesies. Let's see that, Roswell. Yeah.
But you
My
know,
husband would divorce me.
I feel like fashion's resilient and it'll come back and it'll have its place in time. I mean, fashion is armor, and what makes us all feel good. And
Fashion is armor. Yeah.
like, you know, none of us are going anywhere. You know, I mean, I think if you just like plant your feet on the earth and say, this is what I do, and this is where I am, and this is what I have to give, then it'll come back around. You know?
Right. And we'll move forward, and we may move forward in a different way because I'm working with design clients on Zoom now.
Yep.
You know, this time last year, if someone told me that, I'm really like, are you on crack? First of all, I didn't even know what Zoom was or anything. I've had to learn so much since March, and I have. But yeah, the amount of stuff that we've all have to do on Zoom is really incredible. Now, in terms of clientele at the hotel, what has that been like with people coming? I'm sure people want to escape the city. The city has been, you know, especially in March, scary. Have you had a lot of influx of New York City people coming up?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. I mean, we've actually had a very busy, past couple of seasons. Luckily, all of our rooms have their own private entrance, so it's
smart.
Yeah. It just by chance,
By his genius design.
The way I. But we've had, it's the majority, probably 95% are people from the city.
Yeah.
And staying for a while. We were also lucky in the beginning of the pandemic to have a couple of guests that rented long term, so that helped us out. But
I was going to ask you that if you had. I know my building emptied out. You know, it was 50%. Anyone that had a second home left. It was like a ghost town where I live. And I was wondering if you got people that are like, you know, fleeing and all they want to do is just be there for a couple of months, long term.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I love about all of our guests is that they're super pumped about the area and they start to look for houses up here. So during the pandemic alone, we moved like 3 or 4 friends to town, like 2 of my best friends in the world, which I'm pretty excited about. Like they came up and visited and were like, you know, one rented an apartment and one bought a house, but it's so exciting to sort of import people and build the community of people that you want to have. And they're 2 beautiful people that need to be part of this community. So it's good. Like it's really good. And you know, I would say the majority of our guests we would be personal friends with. So it's just like having.
See, that's so great, and I'm sure they feel that, right? They feel that when they meet you.
Well, I mean, you know, with a name like Stickett Inn, it's like if you don't have, if you don't have a sense of humor, if you don't get a booking, if you are looking for some uptight, stodgy Instagram moment, that's not us. But you know, if you want to have a beautiful place to stay in the country that's big and beautiful, and meet other crazy people. Come see us sometime.
Absolutely. Stephen, do we have questions? Comments?
Well, first off, let's say if anybody has any questions, this would be a good time to chime in. Daniel actually popped in with some news, not necessarily the most upbeat news, but still I think we're sharing. Apparently, Emmy and Tony winning actress Cicely Tyson, who distinguished herself in theater, film, and television. Wednesday afternoon. She was 96. And Daniel said, I think I should get in the car, drive down to Stickett Inn, and raise a toast to Miss Tyson. What a legend.
Yeah, really.
And one of the most beautiful, like glamorous till 96, you know.
Brilliant actress. Right. 96. You know how I found out she was 96? I was reading about her last night. It was either the Times Magazine section or New York Magazine. And when they said how old she was, I thought, no.
I can't remember who we were watching. Roswell and I like love a good morning show situation. And somebody just gave her a shout out of being like one of the most glamorous people they've ever met.
Wow. Wow, that's great.
Well, thanks for the darkness, Daniel. That was
Rest in peace, Cicely Tyson.
Absolutely.
A life well lived.
Thank you, Daniel, for letting us know. That's Daniel, always filled with news. Well, he made me on
Who else is
to the Stickett Inn. So you've got your tap. I'm calling it a tap room. your speakeasy, your sip room. You have that opening up in New York. Do you have plans at any point, and you don't have to share them just because I'm prying, but do you have plans at any point to expand the Stickett Inn?
Yes.
Ah,
We want to find it. We want to open a new location in a warmer climate.
right, like Key West.
we were actually looking. We found a place, and the deal didn't work out. But we were looking in Palm Springs.
Oh my God. I have
I
people in Palm Springs. If you do that, or if you're still looking there, I have people I can hook you up with.
I want nothing more to live the later years of my life in a caftan, in a squash blossom necklace.
Oh my God.
In Palm Springs.
Can you picture it?
Not only can I picture it, I can relate to it.
Yes, come with me.
You know, but just in general, I mean, like we want to have like a sort of like gay bathhouse come nursing home for all of us.
But I love the way you're throwing these phrases out there, Johnny. That's great.
Let's keep the younger quotient to registered nurses, and we'll all be fine.
Good for everybody, right? That's what I call a win-win.
Yeah, as long as they're babes, we're good.
Yeah, then you'd be fine. But you'll still keep the Stickett in here, right? And just expand the brand, which is great.
Yeah, Barryville. I mean, it's like, you know, it's exactly like our cans say. It's dry and hard. It's you know, I mean, it is what it is. It's like it's the most beautiful stretch of the river in the planet. You know, like when you're coming down and you come off of Hawks Nest and you descend through Lumberland and, you know, come onto Barryville. It's so beautiful, but the people are so dry and hard. You feel like you're in some hysterical sitcom because it's so unintentionally like engaging and funny and smart, and it's such a microcosm of the planet, you know. I mean,
really.
People are turned on and doing things, but it's also just so remote and quiet. And this is kind of one of my favorite times of the year. I like winter a lot more than Roswell.
Oh, really? Wow.
Carolina boy.
That's what I'm with you, and I'm with Steven. This is not we're getting this Arctic blast coming in, not my cup of tea.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, Steven, you remember like March where we came from? That was spring.
I know. I mean,
it's like
start planting stuff April 5th. That was the day that you could plant without fear of freezing. And now it's like June.
It's Memorial Day.
Oh.
It is Memorial Day. That's right. Up here, it's Memorial Day.
But we were asking for it. We moved to New York City. We had to know at some level what we were getting into.
Oh, I didn't. I was too young to know the difference. I didn't own a winter coat. I had no idea.
Up without a winter coat?
I remember when
but I was old enough, in your early 20s, you don't need a winter coat. You don't care.
Right. You don't think you need
run around naked in the streets. You don't care.
I just remember the first time in law school, it was winter semester, and I was so excited to see the snow in New York City. And we had nice snow, and it was so pretty. And then the next day, it looked like sand. It was so dirty, and I was like, well, I'm over this. No more winters in New York for me, but there were plenty more.
Yeah, the city is not pretty after the next day after the snowfall. It's like, oh, it's dirty snow.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than that. But I mean, look at, you know, what we've learned tonight. You have the best of both worlds. And, you know, one thing you were talking about, this little microcosm of the world where you are, I totally believe the river has everything to do with it. If you believe in, here I go again, Daniel Simmons, the spirituality of the Indians, our first Americans. I want to be politically correct, but, you know, those were the people, the Lenape, that lived all along there. And it's no surprise that that's where you see eagles. No surprise at all.
You know, and I've just sort of, you know, tuned into the Lenape tribe and like found like that they were the settlers of this area.
It's incredible.
We owe them because like you see how it's all settled, and it is like, you know, the town of Highland alone, you know, where we are, like Barryville's a hamlet in the town of Highland, and it's so beautiful, like how they made the choices to settle the land, and then like the people after them, like as part of the Industrial Revolution, you know, Route 97 used to be a canal, so they used to send timber and coal down Route 97.
That's right.
It's just this magical world of like industry and beauty and I don't know. It's I feel, you feel their presence. Like you feel whoever decided that this was a beautiful place to be. It's real. You know, like whatever. Like you come around, Queen. What's his name? What's his name? What's his name? I'm wasted. I think I told you guys this before we started, but I've been on a fast for 3 weeks. I haven't had booze, so I'm wasted right now.
Well, cheers to you.
Perfect way to say.
Well, before we go, I would just like to say, let's do a little bit more promotion. So if you'd like to learn more about the Stickett Inn, go to www.stickettinn.com. If you'd like to learn more about the cider, go to www.stickettncider.com. And then if you're an Instagram person, you can follow Stickett Inn and also Stickett Inn Cider. Am I correct on that one? Yep.
Yes. Stickett Inn Cider is so much fun right now. Like, get with it. There's so many.
I'm gonna go on there and follow it. Absolutely.
Yeah, we just today. I have to tell you guys, one of our favorite people ever is this musician Rose Boogie. Follow her. She has a new single out right now called Bounce, and she just did a little like moment with Stickett Inn, which was like, or Stickett Inn Cider, which was really cute. And next weekend, we're hosting the launch of Dyke Beer at Stickett Inn. They're going to do a Dyke Beer takeover at the Stickett Inn next Saturday. So y'all Dykes,
what time is it? I'm putting it in my book right now. What time is it next Saturday?
7 to 9.
Okay.
And we're going to do a little bonfire outside at 7. And there's going to be a performance by the local band Basic Bitches, like a married lady couple. Come see them.
Oh, that is a fantastic name. Holy shit. I am all about the Basic Bitches.
Oh, look who's that.
Lamont will be here.
Oh, he's waving.
Well, John, Roswell, and Lamont, thank you so much for doing it. It's been great. I mean, not only do you make our little slice of geography much more fun, but much more beautiful. And we are grateful to both of you and grateful to everyone who's here watching tonight. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for tuning in and being part of the party tonight.
Yay.
Yay.
Well, good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.